Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Leo for February 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out what's new on my blog, and if you would love to learn to read astrology charts, either for personal or professional purposes, I would love to help you. My astrology apprenticeship program is now open for enrollment. If you would like to have written horoscopes besides the videos that I do each month, I have written horoscopes on my new website, cozybysweetstarlight.com, and I focus on a different area of the chart that's being highlighted for you each month than I focus on in the videos. So it's a wonderful supplement, and there are lots of other yummy blogs on that site. So what's going on in the month of February? We're still right in the middle of eclipse season. Eclipse season brings crossroads, massive amounts of changes, and especially for Leos, because here we are still working a Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle, which started at the beginning of 2017 and runs into 2019. Eclipse cycles bring radical changes for everybody, but I feel very certain that most Leos will look back after 2019 at the last 2 years of that eclipse cycle and feel like they jumped through a portal. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Enchanted, when she goes from the fairy tale world and pops up in a sewer right in the middle of New York City on a busy street. That's kind of the energy that is going on for Leos right now with this radical transformation, which is our theme for last month, is continuing. So I'm calling the theme of this month Ripe Relationship Possibilities. In January, we talked about the lunar eclipse, which is in Leo, and the potentials that it has for you. So if you haven't already listened to my January report, I highly recommend you go back and do that, because the lunar eclipse at 11 degrees of Leo is on January 31st. So it's in January, but it's definitely going to be affecting us in February. And you may have even seen, as of the middle of December when I'm recording this and we'll be posting soon, you might have already seen lunar and solar eclipse potentials coming in. The vibes starting to roll in are actual manifestations of information starting to come in. When we're working through an eclipse cycle with any given polarity, as we are with Leo and Aquarius, information and movement along this story, along this continuum, can happen at any point in the years that the eclipse cycle takes place. But when the eclipses happen, on the actual eclipse points within that cycle bring hot spots. So it's like an increase in probability of active information and movement along the continuum. The probability of notable things is increased at the time, 4 to 6 and even sometimes 8 weeks before and after the eclipse. So we're moving along this continuum. Radical transformation is afoot. The lunar eclipse has eclipsed something out, either something very obvious or something on a more subtle level, a way of being, something, not all eclipse motion or movement is something that's an overt, outward, material manifestation. Sometimes it's movement along an emotional or mental or spiritual plane where development is happening, and for those who are looking, it will be more easy to see. But in any case, the solar eclipse energies are very ripe in the relationship sectors for early, middle, and late degree Leo placements. You very early, like you first 3 days of the sign or first 3 degrees, will actually have this in your 8th house, but the 8th house is a relationship house just like the 7th house. And you last couple of degrees of the sign or birthdays or degrees of the rising sign, it will actually be in the 6th house for you. But because those 3 degrees in either direction are very closely energetically connected to that 7th house, all of you will have the potential and strong likelihood of manifestations with this 7th house energy and in general with relationships. So relationships in the 7th house have to do with the actual one-on-one interaction between people. So this is romantic relationships, business relationships, clients of any kind, your neighbors, anybody that you are working on a project with, anybody that you're in close connection with, the way that you relate to people, how you are in relationships. All of those things are the domain of this sector. And when there's a solar eclipse, there's new energy. So the lunar eclipse eclipses something out, it brings something to completion or fruition. And the solar eclipse fills that space. That universal law that energy is not created nor destroyed, it simply changes form, is very evident at the time of the eclipses, where energy is taken, say, off a shelf in your life, and then by the lunar eclipse, and then the solar eclipse places something in that empty space. And sometimes it doesn't happen in that order. Sometimes the new things start cycling in before the old things start phasing out, and sometimes they're happening at the same time. And it's not, there's not any exact science to what this looks like, but energy is being reshuffled around in your life. So the focus for you is on new relationship possibilities, ripe relationship potentials and possibilities. So many of you will find a new relationship in this cycle. If you've been looking for somebody, or even if you haven't, you might find that a person of consequence comes in, either a romantic or business or client or something. If you're looking for a practitioner to assist you with something, if you need help psychologically, emotionally, if you need a handyman, if you need an assistant, if you need anything, any type of service, or someone to fill a role in your life or help you with a project, there couldn't be better energy for finding that person than this solar eclipse. So that's very exciting. So be actively looking, and have your radars out, and let people know that you're looking for something that will help help the universe to bring those people to you. And it would be a good idea to write a list of what help you need where, like what you want as far as relationships and who you need to fill spaces in your life with different types of services or experiences, because that will help you to start actively looking for those things and putting a plan together to use this energy most consciously and actively. So self-employed people might get new client accounts, or a big client account, or just a bunch of new ones, might have a different way of interacting with their clients or their base of whoever they're serving. This can have to do with a new romantic relationship coming in, or it can have to do with a new level of a current romantic relationship. So for instance, you could be dating someone, and then this eclipse brings you into either you're living together or you're engaged, or if you're engaged, maybe you get married, or if you're together with someone, maybe you have a child that's added to the situation. Many pregnancies have occurred in a cycle like this, or any number of ways this energy can manifest. Solutions to long-standing problems that you've had with people, if you've been at a standstill, or having a conflict with someone, this solar eclipse can bring in a solution. So the more your heart is open for a solution, the more the universe can do its work, So I love the Ho'oponopono for this. This is the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Doing a cycle of this for 48 days, and really focusing on, or even a moon cycle, can really help to bring resolution if there's some sort of long-standing issue, or even a short-standing conflict with a neighbor or with somebody. There's lots of potential around resolution at this time, and you can actively use that to accentuate the potentials. Let's see, so practitioners, clients, romance. So it could be that you and your romantic partner are now going to work on a certain project together. Maybe you're trying to have a baby. Maybe you want to do a work project, something where you're coming together in a bigger way with someone that you're already with, or just a new level of being with somebody, or being in relationship, a more functional way. So all of those are potentials. If you're in the early sector where, like I said, the first 3 degrees for your rising sign, or the first days, so like 0 to 3 degrees, or 0, 1, 2, so 0 to 2 degrees for your rising, or the first 3 days, you'll have this happen in the 8th house. And even for more of you, like the first 10 degrees for your rising sign, 0 to 9 degrees or so, and the first 10 degrees for your birthday, you section of early degree placements can equally as likely have an experience in your 8th house as your 7th house. And the 8th house has to do with relationships in the same way. So all the things that I spoke of could manifest in that 8th house manifestation, or other things like family money opportunities, being financed for something through capital, joint capital, venture capital. It could be through accessing a loan. It could be that you're giving out a loan, like you're the bank. It could be a new financial project with a partner, or going into business with somebody, or It could have to do with, settling debt or something where you're opening up a new energy as it relates to credit or debt or money. This is also a very psychologically focused house, so you could have advancements from your psychological perspective or just learning about psychology or even astrology, taking up pursuits or going deeper into studying something esoteric or psychological in nature. And there could be lots of spiritual transformation or insights that come in as well, especially for you early degree placements. Let's see, there could be deepening in intimacy, a new power experience, like having more power or clout in something in your life. So you later degree placements, I said that you last couple of degrees, like 27, 28, 29, or the last few days of the sign, you might have this energy in the 6th house. But like I said, you're equally as likely to have it in the 7th in that relationship space as we discussed. But even the rest of you late degree placements, there is a chance, so like, 22-ish or so degrees on, or the last 7 to 10 days of the sign, you could also energetically have a manifestation in the 6th house. Even though for most of you that's not technically happening there, when something's happening on a line, these lines that separate the houses don't really exist, they're soft lines. So like if I'm standing here and you're standing there and something happens right here, and you can't say, oh, that's not happening to me. Well, it's right there. So it is happening. So the potentials, are sitting in multiple sectors at any given time, depending on your particular lens. Your particular lens is determined by your particular degree of the sign that shifts the dial and changes the perspective. That's why it's a little bit different depending on where you're at in the sign. So for the late degree placements, this 6th house manifestation could have to do with a new health regimen, something new with diet, exercise, some new information through diagnostics or otherwise, new use of alternative medicine, chiropractic, acupuncture, anything like that, meditation, new meditation cycles, or opportunities involving those fields of experience. If you're in those lines of work, there could be work opportunities that come from that. Also, this can have to do with your rhythm, what you do every day. It could also have to do with pets, so a new pet or new possibilities involving an animal. And February in general is a really good month to get a new pet if you've been thinking about it, and really up through like March 8th. From like around January 12th through March 8th is an open cycle free from personal planets being retrograde, which we're not going to have a big chunk of that energy again this year, not till the end of December. So if you're wanting to get a new pet, this is a really good time to feel into that. So those are the potentials for your later degree placements. So these are the things most on my mind for Leo. And now I want to talk about each individual transit that I think is notable, the dates those are occurring, what you might see from those transits, and also other themes and patterns that you'll see energetically throughout the month, that if you're conscious of them, which I want to assist you in that, then you'll be able to better use them. And that's why I like to do these reports, is to help you understand the energies so that you can use them for your conscious evolution to make your life the best it can possibly be. So the theme for the month for February 2018 for all signs is Radical New Directions. This is compliments of our solar eclipse that is the highlight of this month, which takes place on February 15th, and it's at 27 degrees of Aquarius. We've been talking about these eclipses for a while. First of all, because as long as we are in an eclipse cycle, news can come in that is eclipse related. So that means from beginning of 2017 through well into 2019, movement along these Leo Aquarius fronts, so anything in the Leo and Aquarian realms, and anything along the houses where it's hitting for each sign, can come through at any point in the eclipse cycle. It's just when the actual eclipses are happening, and then the 4 to 6, even 8 weeks before, and in some cases after, they're like hot spots on a timeline of a story that is ongoing. So sometimes I get asked the question, can I have eclipse news come in sooner than 6 weeks before the actual eclipse? The answer is yes. I actually just myself this week had something very clearly, and I'm recording this in the middle of December, very clearly had a solar eclipse in February manifestation starting to come through in the middle of December. So the eclipse times and the times right before and after are hot spots where there's an increase in frequency of eclipse related news. But if you look more closely, you'll see that this story that's going on is in motion behind the scenes to some degree for the whole time of the eclipse cycle. So, radical new directions for this period of time. We have major trajectory changes as a common outcome of eclipses. So, we're remembering that an eclipse as an astronomical event takes place on one day. An eclipse as an astrological event is an ongoing cycle of a story. So we're looking for hot spots or major news or things to come through around eclipse time because the frequency and the probability is increased. So that's why around this period of time, you'll be likely having the effects of the solar eclipse. So the lunar eclipse that happened at the end of January, we're still very much in a hot spot for that. So closings, endings, completions, things coming to fruition in a big way that you've been working on. Those energies can still come into February, even though the highlight of the month astrologically is the new moon. So the new moon solar eclipse brings in new opportunities, new windows, new doors, new possibilities. And sometimes they're in line with things you've been working on, but sometimes they seem to come out of the blue. So look for this news, but usually it won't be too hard to find. But at the same time, sometimes there are things going on the more subtle levels that are only aware to the seeker. You know, if you're looking for it, you could go through an eclipse season and think, well, gosh, nothing happened at all. But if you're really looking, you'll definitely see at least subtle changes in the story that's going on. So there will be major impetus to move forward, and the stars are right in general for new directions because we don't have any personal planets retrograde this month of February. But at the same time, I describe a lot of what else is going on in February as mischievous. You know, there are aspects that can definitely serve as hindrances to moving forward. So while I'm giving you the report about this green light for moving forward, if you're intuitively not feeling like you should say yes to something or that you should do something, then you have to honor that. And there might be reality checks or things to make you look or dig deeper throughout this month. And we'll go into more details about each of those aspects and what days they are and what they can bring. But just to kind of understand this month better. Green light's on for moving forward, but lots of hindrances that could bring hesitation or doubt. There could be something very clearly that you're supposed to say yes to, but that yes can also still have uncertainty where it's awkward and it's new and you're not sure or you're scared, but still you have a clear yes. One of the most important things to figure out this month, really, really imperative, to tell the difference between self-sabotaging reluctance and, which comes from fear, which would require some use of will to push through, and an actual just intuitive push saying, no, it's not time. So the resistance to change is going to be very strong at this time, just as the possibility for change is standing there. So you really, really have to tune in and figure out, are you not moving forward because intuitively you're supposed to hold off because maybe the retrogrades for the rest of the year are going to change what you would have done or would have launched? Or is it something you have to push through? You know, and only you can know the answer to that. So besides the eclipse, we've got tons of energy in Aquarius. Besides the new moon and solar eclipse, we've got lots of planets moving through that sign. So the Aquarian realms will be lit up in major ways. So anything that involves teaching, leading, or participating in groups, anything that has to do with friendships or social media or social circles, involvement with humanitarian efforts, connections with or working for large organizations. It also has to do with anything that has to do with the internet or internet-based projects or technology or futuristic thinking, patents and things like that. You could see a lot of activity in your friend realm, you know, friends coming in, friends leaving, drama with friends, opportunities with friends, networking possibilities. Whenever the planets are in Aquarius, it's usually a pretty good time to be networking in some way. So just feel into how that could be appropriate for you. So towards the end of the month, we've got the planets starting to move into Pisces, and that brings a totally different feel. This is the Pisces rules the domain of the intuitive, of the introspective, of the artistic, of the abstract, of the romantic, of the poetic. So we move at some point in the month, about 3/4 of the way through, it starts to get more leaning towards the Pisces energy, but we move from this mental air sign of Aquarius and air energy of thinking to feeling. So I'm going to talk about the individual transits, the dates that they're going to happen, and things that I think are important for you to know to best utilize them. If you'd like a written report of what I'm explaining here in this general transit, then you can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. When you sign up at anniehelpsyou.com, you get my monthly newsletter a month early so that you can see the dates and the energies at play written and not just in the video version. So on February 3rd, we have Mercury in Aquarius making a 60-degree angle to Mars in Sagittarius. This is a very favorable angle. So the good vibes are easy flowing now as these two very easygoing signs are getting together in a great aspect. So this is a great time for dreaming big and expressing ideas in a big way. At the same time, and you can see what I mean about this mischievousness, in January, if you're watching this early, then you can understand what I'm talking about from being in the energy of January. But January has a lot of green lights to move forward with less of the mischievous hindrances. February has lots of green lights and energy for going forward, but at the same time, it has these hindrances that I talked about. And here's a good example of this. So on February 3rd through the 4th, we have Venus in Aquarius making a square to Jupiter in Scorpio. We have 3 squares with personal planets to Jupiter this month, and that is part of what's making this theme where Jupiter is trying to expand something, but the square formation is causing a block or causing something to push through or causing questions or causing stopping. So freedom and commitment may come into conflict at this time. The aspect can also bring challenges to love, money, or expression. And it is important to note, though, that even though it will show up, these blocks will show up, they're also with Jupiter, and Jupiter is known as the Great Benefic. So any difficult angle to this planet tends to be softer than the difficult angles to other planets. So we have that going for us this month. On February 6th, we have another beautiful aspect, Venus in Aquarius making a 60-degree angle to Uranus in Aries. So we can have boosts to social life, love life, finances, artistic expression. This is a great aspect for making money decisions or launching something new in business or love. So whenever we've got, kind of these thumbs up, thumbs down energies that are rolling around each other as they tend to be, you sort of just have to feel your way through it, because I give you the date of February 6th that this aspect is happening, but you could feel this aspect and a green light days before or even after, because the expression of the aspect doesn't just happen on that day for most of these aspects. So, you just kind of have to know what's going on and then feel your way around and look for your own intuitive push for your striking points. On February 10th, we have a second square with Jupiter. The Sun in Aquarius is squaring Jupiter in Scorpio. So this comes with a tendency to overdo. So here I am telling you, try to get everything you can done this month, right? Because the wall of retrogrades starting March 8th is going to descend upon us very quickly. So yes, it's true. We do want to do a lot this month. And yes, it's true that a transit like this could cause us to overdo and become tired or become frazzled. So it can also cause us to overpromise. So definitely look out around this time for the opportunity to be conservative with your commitments, because you may be trying big, but if you scale down what you promise compared to what you're intending, then you won't have the stress of trying to pull through something that might not ever get up to the level that you promised. Something else important that I want to note that's happening in March but is relevant for now is that on that same day that our personal planet retrograde absence stops, so basically we are free from personal planets being retrograde and their shadow periods until March 8th. Then we start to descend into Mercury retrograde, then we'll go into Mars retrograde, then we'll go into Mercury retrograde, then we'll go into Venus retrograde. But on March 8th, Jupiter also goes retrograde. And Jupiter is our green light planet. It's our go, 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 expansion, optimism planet. So even though this is extra relevant for Sagittarius, it's relevant for everybody trying to do anything. So this is another reason if you feel if the intuition feels on board for pushing forward this month, to really just push through and do extra work this month, because you want to get your projects out before Jupiter goes retrograde. And it will be retrograde for several, like 3 to 4 months. So February 13th, there is our third square to Jupiter, and this is in the form of Mercury and Aquarius making a square to Jupiter. So these energies combined can bring difficulty in concentration, which is even more challenging because this is a time when Mercury is squaring Jupiter. It's a time when the universe is asking you to pay more attention to the details that are involved in your big vision projects. So just at the time that you have to pay more attention to the details, you have a challenge in concentrating on the details. So it would be a good time to enlist some help with people who are really good at that, or just some extra eyes to support you. This can also come with a tendency to overestimate your capacity to follow through with something you're promising. So you can see this trend whenever anything is squaring Jupiter, there is a tendency to overpromise. On the same day, February 13th, and you notice that all of this is going on around the Valentine's Day time, we have a mitigating, awesome transit with the Sun in Aquarius making a very favorable angle to Uranus. So there is a little bit of dicey energy around Valentine's Day, but there is also some very supportive energy around Valentine's Day. So this Sun aspect with Uranus can bring progressive solutions. It can also bring internet-based projects and community-minding plans to move forward. Group or team focus expands in a wonderful way. If you're looking for a time to try to, pop the question, I still think that there's a lot of good energy around this time, and this aspect can be very supportive because Uranus is future thinking, and of course when you're getting married or trying to move forward on any project, we're thinking about the future. So there is lots of good energy around moving forward. Just kind of feel your way through it, and if you're planning to pop the question and it doesn't feel right, then give it a day or something. You might feel the energies even after a couple of hours shift. So just feel your way through this. On February 15th, we also have the new moon in Aquarius, and this is an amazing energy for new things. It's also the solar eclipse. In general, I try to space things away from the exact day of the solar eclipse, which is on the 15th, because that carries a specific intensity with it. But you'll see radical new directions opening up from this eclipse, and this magical aspect also has additional support from the planets because Mercury is making a 60-degree angle to Uranus, and it can enhance communication and expression and also find futuristic resolutions, as we just discussed. It also can bring positive outcomes from, so basically a solution for an old problem, something that's been going on for a while. You can figure out a solution for that, or the odds are more likely. Also, Venus in Pisces is making a nice angle to Saturn in Sag, and this can help bring abstract ideas into form in wonderful ways. So there's a massive amount of energy around this new moon that is really supportive for moving forward. On February 17th, we also have the Sun in Aquarius making a conjunction to Mercury in Aquarius. So your mental powers will expand at this time. The capacity to intellectualize, to brainstorm, and again, community-based projects, internet projects, anything Aquarian related can get a boost, social media, etc. On February 21st, you can see these energies are very quickly moving into this feeling energy. Venus in Pisces is making a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces. So boundaries can tend to blur during this transit, for better and worse. Romance can flourish at this time. Emotional spending is more likely, but it can be worthwhile. If you're clear enough, if you feel clear enough to make good decisions, you could get some things that really add to the beauty and emotional substance of your life. And by the way, this whole month is really great in general for making important purchases. If you feel your way through and it feels like it's the right move for you, phones, cars, making decisions, starting programs, launching anything. This is one of the best months of the year for pushing things forward in a big way. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. Something else that is great at this transit on the 21st with Venus and Neptune is it's wonderful for artists and art-related projects. So on the 25th, we have Venus in Pisces squaring Mars in Sag. So this can be a little bit of a bummer. Emotional longing may be met with emotionless and detached reflections, okay, which doesn't usually feel good. But this is a really good time to remember that the only constant that we can trust is our connection with spirit, and not the fickleness of the material realms. So when we have a transit like this that can be a little bit disappointing or a little bit confusing, it serves to fuel our spiritual work in the way that whenever we put our dependence and happiness in something outside of ourselves in an ever-changing world, we're on a planet that's moving, that's spinning, but it's also moving, and then it's also moving within that moving, and then it's in a solar system that's moving, in a universe that's moving, everything is moving. So the only thing that's constant is our connection to spirit, that all that is. And this is an amazing transit to reiterate that into our being and to be able to find happiness beyond what our circumstances are. At this same time, we have Mercury in Pisces making a conjunction with Neptune. So this combination can be amazing for romance and emotional connections. Alternatively, and especially because of the square that is also happening this day, it can cause confusion or deception. So just again, tune in and trust your gut feelings in deeper ways. On the same day, the 25th, this is a very powerful time in the cosmos, lots going on. We've got the Sun in Pisces making a beautiful aspect to Saturn in Capricorn, which is a great time for abstract ideas taking shape beautifully and rough edges being softened with great outcomes. Whenever we have energies of water and energies of earth coming together in a beautiful aspect, it gives us the opportunity to blend art and function. On the 27th, we have an awesome aspect with Venus in Pisces making a 60-degree angle to Pluto in Capricorn. I want to take a second now to note, you've noticed I've said 60-degree angle quite a few times in this report. That means that there is a strong story of this 60-degree angle. And 60-degree angles are positive, supportive aspects, but they usually involve you having to take action on something. They're a little bit different than a trine. Trines tend to just bring things in, and yes, you can take action on those beautiful aspects also, but this 60-degree angle really wants you to do something. And the way I always describe this is like, let's say you want a peach pie, right? And you have all the ingredients for the pie on your counter, and then you're like, why don't I have a peach pie? Everything is there, right? Well, you have to use the ingredients to make the pie. So you might have to do something active with these 60-degree angles to be able to get the better aspect, but they're full of opportunities. So on the 27th, we've got this Venus in Pisces, 60-degree angle to Pluto in Capricorn. So again, you see this theme of artistic flow receiving great support, tangible support, material support. Look for ways to bring intuition and practicality together. So you've heard me say something like that a few times, and that's because of this blending of water energies and earth energies as a little bit of a pattern this month. On the 28th, we have Mercury in Pisces making a square to Mars in Sag. So be on guard for misunderstandings at this time. Unclear communications can bring challenges and conflicts, and it may be hard to express feelings at this time, or it could just be that deadlines could create creativity blocks. Mars in Sag wants to go, go, go and be everywhere at the same time and do everything at the same time, but Mercury in Pisces is more of a slower, emotional, quiet, soft moving energy, so whenever those two conflicting energies come in, you can see there might be some conflicts there. Also on February 28th, we have a beautiful aspect with Mercury in Pisces making a 60-degree angle with Pluto in Capricorn. So Compassionate communication can result in great strides at this time. So adding art to function is a great way to use this energy also. I love the book, Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication, for everything, for always. But when we have aspects or combinations like this where there's so much softness and feeling coming into connection with a different type of energy, you know, the more we can tune in and really put ourselves in the place of someone that we're communicating with and look at it from their perspective, there's a tremendous amount of healing that can occur with that. So these are the things that are most on my mind this month for the general transits. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new in my blogs. Also, sign up for my free email newsletter to get your monthly write-up and more. Definitely go to cozybysweetstarlight.com to get your written monthly horoscope for each sign. That's something new that I've never done before, but I am doing it on my new site, Cozy by Sweet Starlight, along with great reads for each sign and lots of blog headers for your comfy, cozy life, astrology kissed life. Then check out my husband, B.R. Newman's tarot scopes to get more information about what could be in store for you at iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month. Check out my astrology apprenticeship program if you would love to learn astrology with me, and I'll see you next month.